Yuji Sano, a young tamer adventurer, is in a forest fighting a monster helped by little slime monsters and a wolf. Upon defeating the monster, he heads to the Faced an Adventurer Guild. In the reception, Yuji talks to the manager about the encounter in the forest. At that moment, a young man enters and reports that many monsters are approaching the town. Yuji suggests recreating dragon fire to kill the monsters and protect the city. His plan gets into motion, and the adventurers go into the forest to attack the monsters. Yuji sends his slime to help them and tries to cast a spell, but before he does, they tell him there's an emergency with Dryad, a forest spirit in the woods. Dryad tells Yuji that a strange man is wandering in the forest with a lamp containing a stone. The man leaves the stone in the middle of the forest, and Dryad captures him with the slime's help. However, the man says some strange words and suicides before they can interrogate him. After this, Yuji recreates the dragon fire to destroy the monsters. But the spell is too powerful and he passes out. Yuji wakes up in the middle of the night and leaves the forest with his slime and wolf. Yuji goes to Kilia, a nearby town, and gets into the Adventurers Guild. Another group of adventurers, Rhodus, Tina, and Lisa, invite him to join the group. Together, they head into the forest to locate the Earth Dragon, a powerful monster in the area. Although after spending the day searching, the group decides to camp for the night to recover energy. Before Yuji entered this world, he worked as a salaryman in a company. One day he received a message where he was summoned to a game and accepted without realizing it. Yuji falls asleep in front of the PC by accident, and when he wakes up, he's inside the new world. His character, a tamer, can summon slime monsters and befriend them. However, after reading several magical books, he manages to awaken magical powers, reaching the Sage class. Back in the present, Yuji receives a call from his slime, informing him that Rhodus, Tina, and Lisa have disappeared. Rhodus goes into the woods, and Tina and Lisa follow him, suspecting that he's up to something. Rhodus meets Gedios, a wanted bandit who offers a high price for the two girls. Yuji orders his slime to help Tina and Lisa escape while he reaches the forest and captures Gedios. Yuji, Tina, and Lisa continue investigating through the forest, and the slimes inform them that a mighty dragon appeared a kilometer away. The three of them decide to find it, but as they run, the ground cracks open and the Earth Dragon emerges. Yuji casts his spell, creating a magic flame that incinerates the dragon. When they return to Kilia, the group reports that they managed to defeat the dragon and capture Gedios. Ryad, the city chief, asks Yuji to talk and takes him to a room with other adventurers. Ryad tells him that he brought them together to talk about the blue dragon and introduces Priest Stale. Stale shows them a book of legends about the mighty dragon that, according to the book, can only be defeated by a divine emissary. Ryad decides that they'll face off against the dragon before it causes any damage to the city. Stale summons Yuji to the church, where he gives him the Dagger of Kethis, saying that the divine beings think he must have it. At dusk, the sky turns purple and the slimes inform Yuji that the blue dragon has appeared again in the forest. Yuji, along with his wolf and slimes, heads towards the blue dragon without alerting his companions. Upon arrival, Yuji tries to attack with magic, but it's not powerful enough, so he has no choice but to fight. With the help of another spell, Yuji stabs Kethis' dagger into the dragon, destroying it. Yuji returns to the city, and Ryad tells him that the sky has returned to its natural color. Later in the dining hall, Yuji tells Tina and Lisa that he plans to go to another city, and they recommend Ricardo. Yuji heads towards Ricardo, and as he walks through the forest, one of his slimes inform him that Dryad had a message for him. Dryad tells him that wonderful mushrooms sprouted where he fought the dragon. She can make potions to restore magical power with them and needs his help to collect some. Yuji agrees in exchange for some of these potions. Dryad accepts, and he helps her with the mission. When they finish, Dryad hands the potions to Yuji while he continues on his way to Ricardo. However, thanks to a strange mist, Yuji gets sidetracked and ends up in a small town called Messiah. Once there, the townspeople start asking him a lot of weird questions. Yuji manages to avoid them and continues on his way, but he begins to suspect the strange town. Yuji reaches Ricardo in the middle of snowfall. The hero goes into a restaurant to eat, but the young woman tells him that they don't have any firewood to cook. Yuji goes to a nearby forest to get some firewood, takes it to the restaurant, and earns one of their best dishes as a thank you. After eating, Yuji searches for the town guild, where he applies for the job of fetching firewood. Vodka, the village firewood leader, says they're not ready for snowfall, and some nearby villages have offered to help them. Yuji asks if Messiah ever helped them, and Vodka tells them this town has been deserted for a long time, surprising Yuji. In the forest, Yuji summons a magical axe to chop down many trees at once, creating a lot of firewood for the city. The villagers give him a big reward and delicious meals. Suddenly, the slimes inform Yuji that they found a strange blue-colored ball nearby. Yuji wants to find out what it is and summons Dryad. She tells him that it is a cursed stone that absorbs the city's magic and that someone placed it there on purpose. Yuji dispels the curse and continues to explore the forest, finding a hidden entrance in the ground. Entering the hidden passage, Yuji sends his slime to explore, finding some machines. Yuji realizes that this is where they make cursed stones. They also find a ladder leading to the surface of Messiah and report to Yuji. He realizes the group of followers of the Blue Moon of Salvation use the abandoned town to forge the cursed stones. Yuji orders the slimes to take all the books and documents they find. When a woman notices the books missing, she quickly informs Javier, their leader. Javier thinks there's a thief, so he uses the purifying flame. Upon activating it, everyone chants, "Clean up this polluted world," and commits suicide. Yuji quickly casts spells to get the slimes out and creates a barrier to avoid the flames affecting their areas. Yuji travels back to Ricardo, where they're celebrating winter's end. Later, Yuji reviews the documents and discovers a list of people wanted by the followers of the Blue Moon of Salvation. Yuji's shocked to see his name as 2 assassins search for people on the list, with Yuji marked as their main target. Discovering his name on the wanted list, Yuji decides to leave Ricardo and go to Bojinha. While walking through the forest, one of the slimes informs Yuji that 2 assassins are watching him. Yuji arrives in Bojinha, and the assassins follow him to the city to analyze him. Yuji pretends he's unaware that he's being watched and begins to act weak and without many abilities. The killers don't consider him a threat and leave. Yuji sends his slimes to follow the assassins to find out where they're going. They arrive at a small cabin on the outskirts of the forest, where they communicate with their leader and tell him what happened. The leader tells them they now have a bigger problem, as Messiah has fallen, and orders them to look for the next one on the list to see if he poses a threat. Hearing this, Yuji thinks it's too dangerous to let them loose and uses his slime to immobilize them. The next day, Yuji visits Geigel, a monster armor maker, to get some protective armor. Geigel tells Yuji their materials need to be more suitable for making adequate armor. However, he tells him the best material is the Blue Fire Dragon's jewels. Geigel tells him where he can find one dragon to defeat it and get some of these jewels so he can make armor. Yuji goes to a volcano, and the slimes inform him they found one of the dragons nearby. Yuji defeats it and obtains the jewel he needs for the armor. Yuji gives Geigel the materials to make the best armor for his slime and wolf. However, they fail to withstand Yuji's magic. Geigel tells him that the only way to make indestructible armor is with the jewel obtained from killing a fire dragon. But it turns out that no one has ever successfully found one since they live in the depths of the volcano lava. While Yuji's resting, his slimes inform him that the volcano has awakened and the fire dragon has come out, threatening the safety of Bojinha. Yuji sends his slimes to investigate the volcano and finds 2 men from Ardarian carrying barrels on their backs. Yuji casts a magic net spell to trap them and discovers they're both from the Blue Moon of Salvation. But before he can investigate more, they both chant, "Clean up this polluted world," and suicide. Yuji tells the slimes to summon Dryad to help them investigate what's inside the barrels. Dryad tells them it's cursed water that'd ignite the dragon's power. It starts to rain and the dragon gets angry and leaves the volcano, heading to Bojinha. With his spells, Yuji confronts the dragon before it destroys the city. Yuji struggles against the overwhelming power of the dragon, but in the end, he defeats it, saving the city and obtaining the jewel. He heads back to Bojinha and hands Geigel the materials he got for his armor. Yuji decides to go to Ardarian to investigate and enters the Adventurers Guild, but he notices that some men are giving him bad looks. Yuji sends his slimes to discover they're part of the Blue Moon followers. Later, Yuji meets Stale, who gives him information about the cult. Stale tells him how the Blue Moon followers sect formed and about Walter, the sect's leader. Walter focused his cause on cleaning up this world by coming up with evil plans to cause chaos. The only one who can stop him is a divine emissary, like Yuji. Finally, Stale tells him to prepare for the upcoming fight. The next day, Yuji goes to the church to look for Stale, but finds that Stale left with Johan, his companion. Yuji sends the slimes to follow Stale and Johan to a hidden spot, in the forest filled with Blue Moon followers. Yuji watches as Walter catches Stale, who's shocked as Johan uses him to guide Yuji to Walter. Yuji casts a spell to free Stale and also fights the monsters there. Walter goes with Johan to a machine that fills Walter with powers and turns him into a dragon monster. Yuji starts the fight, but the monster's high resistance makes him difficult to defeat. Yuji decides to put his slime and wolf in the armor Geigel made for them, increasing their power and managing to win. Just before dying, Walter conjured "Make your revelation come true," activating a machine that absorbs magical energy. Suddenly, the sage, the god that all the followers on the Blue Moon sect were trying to resurrect, appears on the battlefield. Yuji starts to fight him, but the sage is too powerful and dodges all of Yuji's spells. The sage casts a spell and spreads purple clouds over several cities, causing rain and prompting the monsters to attack. In the cities, all the warriors find themselves fighting monsters driven mad by the sage. He's using an artificial rain machine to spread the water from the Blue Moon curse well. As Yuji tries to attack the sage, more monsters head to cities like Fasten and Kilia. The slime inform Yuji of the danger, who casts spells to protect these cities. Fighting the sage and defending the cities at the same time affects Yuji. However, the slimes inform him that everyone in the cities takes the courage to face the monsters. Finally, Yuji, summoning his most destructive spell, manages to destroy the sage, saving the kingdom. In the cities, everyone celebrates victory. However, as Yuji visits a new city, the Ordarian men comment that they lose communication with Walter. They talk about how the Purifier is almost ready to wipe out the entire continent. The slimes give this information to Yuji, who realizes that the Blue Moon followers won't give up that easily. And that was my Isekai Life Season 1 recap. If you enjoyed this recap, remember to hit that sub, click the like button, and comment down below to let me know what you think of the series. I'll see you on the next video.